Good evening, students. In this short video on the Viva of the hip bone, I will just confine myself to ask the question, or what are the questions which are usually asked in the Viva on the general aspect of the hip bone, its classification, its site determination, and its anatomical position. And in the next three videos, I will just record the Viva on ilium, ischium, and pubis respectively. So let us see. When examiner will ask you to hold this bone in your hand, just lift the bone, and then the question may be that what kind of bone is that? What is its classification of this? Then you can say this is a irregular bone. This is a flat irregular bone. It is here, and it has the three parts, and three parts. Then he will ask you what is this deep fossa called as? Very rapidly, you know already, it is called as acetabulum, which will articulates with the head of the femur, and it is always directs towards the lateral side, onto the lateral side. Then he may ask you what is the or where is the obturator foramina. You can see that below the acetabulum, this triangular foramina is the obturator foramina, anterior to which lies the flat bone pubis, and posterior to which lies this thick bone, the ischium. It is there. Now he may ask what is the bone above the acetabulum and what is the bone anterior to the acetabulum. You can say that the bone above the acetabulum is a flat irregular bone, and this is the ilium. The bone is called as ilium, while the bone anteriorly and inferiorly is the pubic bone, while the bone just posteriorly and inferiorly in relation to the acetabular fossa, and which is quite thick, is the ischium. Thus you can say that this hip bone has three parts: ilium, ischium, and the pubis, and an acetabular fossa facing on to the lateral side. There is a lateral surface, and then there is inner or the next question may be, where is the triradiated hyaline cartilage located in the young age? You can tell him that the triradiated hyaline cartilage is located in young people before almost the age of 15 years, and this demarcates the junction of the ilium, ischium, and pubis. He may ask you to draw this. So with the help of a blue color chalk which will represent the hyaline cartilage, you can draw a line anteriorly and slightly superiorly at the level of the iliopubic eminence, and then you draw a line which is going posteriorly, superiorly, just above the ischial spine. See these two lines I have drawn, and then you can draw a third line vertically downwards towards the acetabular notch. See this. So in this way, these are the three tri-radiating. They are radiating into three different directions and demarcating the junction between the ilium, ischium, and pubis. So this is a tri-radiated hyaline cartilage you have drawn. You have drawn. That means before the age of 16, 17, these three bones, they are separate from each other. Then later they fuse and form a single bone, what is called as the ilium, ischium, and pubis, which has the part, ilium, ischium, which were otherwise the separate part. After this, he will ask you naturally one important question: how you will determine the side of this bone. So he will say that whether this hip bone belongs to the right side or to the left side. For determination of this bone, what you should do is first is just keep this ilium, which is a flat expanded part of the hip bone ilium. It should be kept upward. Say for this is superior surface, I am just keeping upward on the superior side. Okay, and this is the ilium. Okay, while the obturator foramina, which is a triangular obturator, it should be directed downward side. So suppose this is the downward side, so this should be kept downward. Okay, you have to hold the bone like this and then should keep ilium upward and the obturator foramina downward. Since the camera is on the top, I am showing you just by keeping it on the table itself. Okay, then third thing which you should note, that acetabulum should face towards the lateral side. This is the lateral side, ilium upward, obturator foramina downward, and acetabulum is onto the lateral side. Then pubic bone, this is the pubic bone, should be directed anterior. Okay, it should directed anterior, not that the ischium should directed anterior. This is the pubic bone which should direct anterior. Okay, and the ischial tuberosity should direct posterior. Thus the direction of the acetabulum, on which side it is directing, will give you the side of this bone. So this bone belongs to the right side. Okay, see this, pubis anteriorly, inferiorly, ilium upward, obturator foramina downward, ischium posteriorly, inferiorly, acetabular fossa is directed laterally. It is directed laterally. So this bone, hip bone, belongs to that. You just can hold this and say that this hip bone belongs to the right side. You can keep the bone like that, where all this ilium is upward, obturator foramina is downward, acetabulum is laterally facing. But then the wrong thing is that this ischial tuberosity, which is thick, is facing anteriorly. It should not be. It is the pubis which should face. So rotate it and keep it. Always keep it in mind that pubic bone should face anteriorly. Okay, it's anteroinferiorly to the acetabulum, and acetabulum will determine the side. So it is of the right side. Okay, this hip bone belongs to the right side. Then the next question will be how you will keep it in anatomical position. The position of the hip bone to keep it in anatomical is very tricky, and you should learn it with the help of your teacher. Otherwise it will be real difficult. I cannot show you and teach you, though I will try my best to keep it in anatomical position. Number one, that this is the symphysial surface of the pubic bone, which will articulate with the opposite pubic bone. Okay, this symphysial surface should be in the midline, or in the this surface should face medially. Okay, and it should be in the midline. Number one. Okay, then the acetabulum should face laterally and slightly forward. Acetabulum should face laterally and slightly forward. This should be the number two condition to keep it in the anatomical position. And then you see this tubercle here on the pubic bone, just lateral to the symphysial surface here. This is called as pubic tubercle. Okay, and this part of the ilium is called as anterior superior iliac spine. Okay, so the tubercle and the anterior superior iliac spine, they should be just touching to a vertical plane or the coronal plane. Both should be touching to the coronal plane. And then the posterior surface of the pubic bone. See this is the anterior where tubercle is located, and this is the posterior pelvic surface of the pubic bone, should direct upwards and backward. It should direct upward and backwards. See this? So first, pubic symphysis or the symphysial surface in median plane. Second is that acetabulum laterally and slightly forward. Then thirdly, anterior superior iliac spine and pubic tubercle, they should be in the same coronal plane. And fourthly, it is the posterior surface of the pubic bone should face upward and upward. So this will give you the anatomical position of the hip bone, because the other bone will come and articulate here, and the two bone here have to articulate through to the sacrum to form the pelvis. Okay, so it is a little tricky. Okay, you should learn to keep this bone in anatomical position with the help of your teacher. Okay, always hold the bone in the same side to which it belongs, as I am holding the right hip bone on the right side. Okay, right hip bone onto that of the right side. So this completes the just the first video on the hip bone, the Viva on the hip bone. In the next video, I will tell you very quickly about the ilium, okay, about the bony and the particular features of the ilium. Thank you very much for watching this video.